The episode begins by showing the year 2009. We're told that Youngwoo's life used to be perfect, at least before Hanol came into it. He was the only student in his school who always got #1 mark. Not just in school, even in his family and his religion group, even nationwide, he used to be a topper. Even his classmates liked him a lot because he would share his notes with everyone, helping them study better. Not only was he great at study, but also good at sports and other school activities. He had become so popular in school that people used to offer him food and girls used to compete just to be his friend. But then, that day came. One day out of nowhere, a new student arrived in class, Hanol. At first, Youngwoo didn't take her seriously, but when the results of the first test came, for the first time in his life, Youngwoo came in second. That moment changed everything. He became desperate to be first again. Hanol was something else. She used to run to her extra classes just to save time. She didn't even go to the washroom often. Instead, she used to eat dry coffee to stay alert. Youngwoo had never seen anyone like her, so obsessed with study. So even he started copying her. He sacrificed his sleep, started studying even harder. At lunchtime, while Youngwoo would be picking up his tray to eat, he would see Hanol eating only a banana to save time. Seeing that, Youngwoo decided no lunch, not even a banana. Later one night, we see Youngwoo still sitting in the library, eyes burning with sleep. It was already very late, so he started packing up to go home. But just then he saw a desk light still on. He walked closer. It was Hanol, still studying. Looking at her face, it was clear sleep didn't exist for this girl. Youngwoo couldn't believe it. How could someone not sleep? And if she was staying here, then how could he go home? He looked at her, made a small signal. As long as you study here, I'll study here too. And he sat right across from her and opened his books again. The next day, after a whole night of no sleep, Youngwoo's condition was terrible. He looked like someone who hadn't slept for weeks. But still, when he saw Hanol in class, he tried to motivate himself. Then class ended. Youngwoo stood up, and he felt like he was going to collapse right there. But before he could, Hanol fainted and collapsed first. And right after that, Youngwoo also passed out. Even while fainting, he had just one regret, that he came second again. Later, when both of them woke up in the school's restroom, they looked at each other. Youngwoo softly asked her, "Are you okay?" He tried to talk nicely, but Hanol didn't even look directly at him. She pulled out a small notebook from under the blanket. It was full of mini notes, so she could study even while lying down if something like this happened. Youngwoo looked at her in shock. Even after fainting, she's still studying? He turned his back and went back to sleep, annoyed. Hours later, he woke up. Hanol was gone. Just then, some teachers came to check on him. Youngwoo asked them, "Where's Hanol?" They said, "Oh, she already went for her intensive class." Youngwoo was stunned. She didn't even ask if he was okay, didn't even care. Just left him there like nothing happened. He stood up and shouted, "Now, let's see how you'll stay ahead of me." And with that, we're brought back to the present timeline. Morning has arrived, and Youngwoo clearly remembers all the mess that happened last night after they both got drunk. And now, both of them feel deeply embarrassed. Hanol bows her head. In the next scene, she sees Youngwoo and quietly says hello to Youngwoo. Youngwoo also greets her back, feeling a little embarrassed. Hanol awkwardly says, "Last night we drank together." They both agree that whatever happened last night, they were drunk. And drunk people make silly mistakes sometimes. So whatever happened, they'll just forget it and never talk about it again. They even joke, "Let's just get out of each other's way from now on." Then Hanol walks into her house. Her mom is sitting there silently. Just then, Hanol's little brother Namdae comes in and says, "I heard you have depression, and you even fought with mom yesterday." He continues, "Look, I'm also jobless, but I'm not depressed. Now you're jobless too, so just rest." Hearing this, mom scolds Namdae, "Why are you talking to your sister like that?" But Namdae says seriously, "No, it's important. We should talk openly with her. If we want her to recover, we have to help her like a family." Then he casually asks his mom, "What's for dinner tonight? Anything special?" When he hears that they're going to eat sprouts again, he makes a face and says, "Can you make something nice tonight?" Mom gets annoyed and starts hitting him playfully, and Hanol quietly goes into her room. Some time later, her mom comes in with her medicine. She says she found the pills in Hanol's room, and it's time to take them. She becomes emotional, but Hanol tells her not to cry and promises that she take her medicine. A few hours later, when Hanol comes back from the market, the whole family throws her a surprise party. They call it a depression party to cheer her up. Even their uncle looks like he's about to cry, but Namdae and Walsean stop him, reminding him they promised not to cry in front of Hanol. They've prepared all kinds of food just for her. Later that night, when Hanol is alone in her room, she thinks to herself, "Everyone's suddenly so focused on me, following me around all the time." She calls her friend Lee Hong and asks what she's doing. Lee Hong says she's very busy and has to go into surgery soon. Hanol asks if she'll go out with her after she's free, but Lee Hong Hong says she has a night shift. She also adds, if you're feeling this bored, then why did you quit your job? If you want to come back, I can talk to the professor for you. Hanol silently cuts the call. On the other side, we see Young-woo meeting his lawyer. The second hearing of his case is next week, but they still haven't figured out how his fingerprints ended up on the bottle. The lawyer says he talked to all employees, but nothing useful came up. Then he tells Young-woo, Dr. Kang will appear in court in the next hearing to answer the question. Young-woo is shocked. Really? He agreed to testify? Why so suddenly? The lawyer also says, I was surprised too. He refused before, but now he agreed out of nowhere. If he testifies honestly, he continues, it could help your case a lot. After this, when Young-woo and Kyungmin step outside, Kyungmin says, I thought he was a bad guy, but maybe I was wrong. Even Young-woo nods. Yeah, I feel the same, but still, something about him doesn't feel right. We now see Dr. Kang secretly entering Jungwoo's apartment. Since there was no way to get in, he breaks the window and opens the door from inside. The sound of glass breaking reaches the downstairs apartment. Her mom hears it, but thinks maybe it was just her imagination. Then her mom comes and tells Namdae, take this blanket upstairs to that new guy who just moved in. She means Young-woo. Namdae refuses. Why does he need a blanket? He's not poor. He's a doctor. But mom says, I heard he moved here because he went bankrupt. He might need a little help. Namdae still doesn't want to go, so Walsean threatens, fine, I'll cut your pocket money. That worked. Namdae reluctantly takes the blanket and goes upstairs. When he reaches the apartment, he sees the door open and the window broken. He steps inside looking confused. Just then Young-woo arrives from behind. He asks, what are you doing here? Namdae tells him, I came to give you a blanket. But the door was open and the window's broken. In the next scene, the police arrive. They investigate the apartment and say, there's no sign of anything being stolen. They plan to check the CCTV footage nearby and will inform Young-woo as soon as they find anything. Hanol mom tells Young-woo, tonight you should sleep at our apartment. Your window is broken, cold air could come in. But Young-woo politely says thanks and refuses. No, it's okay. I'll stick some large newspapers over the windows. I'll sleep just fine. After that, they both go downstairs. Young-woo looks a bit sad as he starts cleaning up the broken glass. A little while later, Hanol shows up and says, I heard something happened here, so I came to check on you. Then she adds, my mom was also asking, where will you sleep tonight? So why don't you just sleep at our place? Young-woo says, it's really not a big deal. I'm not sleeping here anyway. Hanol asks, then where are you going to sleep? Don't tell me you're going to her place. I know she has a night shift tonight. Young-woo says, why? I have other friends too. I'll go to one of their places. Hanol raises an eyebrow and says, which friends? The ones who aren't even answering your calls? Come on, stop making excuses. Just come downstairs and sleep. She adds, honestly, this is awkward for me too, but I can't let my classmate freeze alone like this. Then she teases him. What if the man in the black suit comes back tonight? What if he attacks you and throws you in the river? No one will even know what happened to you. Young-woo tells her, stop scaring me. Hanol reassures him, don't worry, everything will get better soon. None of this was your fault. In the next scene, we see Young-woo sitting with Hanol's family. Walsean says, I had no idea you two went to the same school. That's great. You both must know each other very well. Hanol quickly replied, no, we weren't that close. Young-woo also says, that's true. Who would want to get close to her anyway? Hearing that, Walsean's mother pulls her delicious plate of food away in annoyance. Young-woo quickly says, wait, I think you're misunderstanding. Let me explain properly. He tells them, Hanol never had time to talk with us or hang out. Not in school, not outside of it. Even when we invited her for taeboki, she would say she's allergic, but really she just wanted to study. Hanol replies, you knew I was lying about that? Young-woo says, of course I knew. No one's allergic to taeboki. He adds, that's why we never became close friends. Then Hanol opens up. I actually really wanted to eat taeboki. I wanted to go to arcades, play karaoke game, but I knew I had to study. So I held back my desires and focused on school. Hearing all this, Walsean gets emotional and starts crying. She says, I had no idea that you were pushing yourself that hard. Everyone tries to calm her down and they all enjoy their meal together. After dinner, Hanol shows Young-woo where he'll be sleeping. She then asks, should we go out and eat ice cream? She says it because both of them are going through hard time, and going out into the fresh air might help. But then she changes her mind and says no. It's too late at night. As she turns to go back to her room and says goodnight, she sees her mom standing at her door. Before her mom could start lecturing her again, Hanol quickly turns around and says to Young-woo, let's go eat ice cream. In the next scene, we see Lee Hong finishing her shift. She starts thinking about Hanol and how bored she must be at home alone. She wishes she could spend time with her, but work is keeping her so busy. And knowing Hanol, she doesn't even know how to keep herself busy when she's not working. So she thinks, maybe I should find something on the internet to help her. She opens YouTube and finds a random silly video titled, How to Fold a Crane Using a Blanket. Even though the video is totally stupid, she kind of likes it. She ends up subscribing to the channel. On the other side, we see Deo Kyung walking out of his clinic. He gets a notification on his phone. When he opens it, he sees that he just got his first YouTube subscriber. He shouts with excitement. All the nearby nurses ask, what happened? He tells them proudly, I got my first real subscriber. Someone who's not a family member or friend. The nurses don't care much and walk away. He opens the profile and sees the name Lee Hong. He gets excited thinking about his new subscriber. We even see Lee Hong walking past at the same time, without either of them realizing. Meanwhile, we see Youngwoo and Hanol eating ice cream outside. Youngwoo says, I feel really good eating ice cream like this with a friend. But Hanol quickly corrects him. We're not friends. Hanol says, we're just classmates. Nothing more. Youngwoo replied, then what's the difference? If you don't want to consider me your friend, that's fine. Just then an ambulance passes by in front of them. Seeing it, Hanol suddenly becomes quiet and sad. Because she used to love her job deeply, and now she's jobless. To cheer her up, Youngwoo gently says, you're not jobless. You're just free for a little while. So why don't we do something fun instead? He asks, what's something you'd enjoy doing? Something that'll make you feel better. Hanol smiles a little and says, I think I'd like to write essays. Whenever I write or read those in my free time, I feel really good. Youngwoo laughs and says, stop talking about reading and writing all the time. Why don't you do all the things you wanted to do back in school? Like eat tteokbokki, go to arcade, play karaoke game. Then he takes her to eat tteokbokki. Hanol says she's not hungry since she just ate, but Youngwoo insists and pulls her along. And guess what? Once the food comes, she ends up eating the most. She even starts giving him advice like, when people are stressed, they should eat their favorite food. After eating, Youngwoo brings up arcade game. Hanol says, arcade? That's so old-fashioned. What would we even do there? But in the very next scene, we see both of them at the arcade. Hanol is like a little kid, playing every game she sees with full excitement. When it's time to sing, she starts singing a very old-fashioned poem song. Youngwoo is trying his best to tolerate it, but then he can't take it anymore and presses the cancel button. He lies. Oh, I accidentally pressed it. He suggests, why don't you sing a K-pop song instead? Hanol tells him, I never listened to K-pop. I didn't want to waste time on music, but now I think I should've. So Youngwoo takes her to a K-pop dance stage, where they dance to upbeat music together. They both have lots of fun. Later, as they walk back home, they start talking about all the mistakes they made in life. Youngwoo finally says, we should both take a break, because we've both hit rock bottom. Back at home, Youngwoo lies in bed thinking about Hanol. He says to himself, I didn't know this side of her even existed. She's emotional. She can judge people's character really well. And she's a little cute too. Then suddenly he catches himself and says, cute? Who said she's cute? There's nothing cute about her. I must be sick or something. On the other side, Hanol is thinking about Youngwoo. She says to herself, he's not like I thought. Today I ate tteokbokki, played game, and those 3 silly words he said. Let's take a break. We've hit rock bottom. They're so stupid, but somehow they gave me peace. Next morning, Hanol runs to Youngwoo and shows him her phone. She says angrily, they reduced my payment. The professor reported me as a contract worker, not a full-time employee. Youngwoo is shocked. So they secretly marked you as a contract worker? That's awful. Because of this, Hanol won't receive her full payment. She gets angry and says, I'm going to confront them right now. But Youngwoo holds her hand and says, I know you're angry, but if you react like this, you won't be able to work in this field again. You know how fast news spreads in this profession. Hanol listens and says, you're right. Later, Hanol goes to the hospital to meet other contract workers. There were 2 others on the same list. She talks to them and says, what happened to us is wrong. We should file a complaint together. But the others say, we don't want to complain. We're definitely upset, but we can't afford to take this risk. You already quit your job, but we still work here. They warn her, if the professor sees us with you, who knows what punishment we'll get. Hanol understands and apologizes to them. Meanwhile, Youngwoo sits in his room thinking about Hanol. He doesn't even have her number, but he wants to at least say thanks to her family. So he buys some fruit and heads over to her place. As he arrives, he hears a conversation inside. Namdae and his mom are talking. They say, we heard about Jungwoo's case too. People are gossiping, and maybe he really is guilty. That's probably why he hasn't been able to prove anything. They worry that Hanol might get dragged into all this, and say, she's already dealing with depression. This could make it worse. Youngwoo hears all of this from outside the door. It really hurts him. Right then, Hanol shows up behind. Before she can stop him, Youngwoo goes upstairs. She follows follows him and tells him everything. How even her coworkers don't want to meet her now. Youngwoo says coldly, "You shouldn't have come here." And he walks inside, closing the door behind him. Hanol returns home, but as soon as she gets back, her mom starts talking about Youngwoo again. There's a case going on against him. What if he's guilty? You should stay away from him. And that's when Hanol finally understands everything. In the final scene, Youngwoo gets a call from his lawyer. The lawyer says, Dr. Kong suddenly refused to testify in court, and now we can't even reach him. Youngwoo is left in shock. If things stay this way, then at the next hearing, Jungwoo's case will become even weaker. Worried, Youngwoo somehow gets Dr. Kang's contact number and heads to the place where Kong was recently working. But when he gets there, he finds out that Dr. Kang just resigned that very day. Youngwoo somehow manages to find his new number and tries calling him. But on the other side, we see Dr. Kong ignoring the call. Youngwoo tells his lawyer about it, but the lawyer says, "There's nothing we can do now. Trying to find him would be a waste of time. We should focus on preparing for the next hearing." That night, we see Hanol reading the case detail. She digs deep into research, gathering every piece of info she can. Next morning, it's the date of Jungwoo's hearing. He reaches court looking emotionally drained. Once again, new allegations are presented against him. His lawyer stands up and requests the court for an extension. He says, "We told the court Dr. Kang would testify today, but suddenly he backed out and didn't show up. We need some time to review the case again, just before the judge can make a decision." Hanol suddenly enters the courtroom. She quickly walks up to Jungwoo's lawyer and shows him some documents. Flashback. We see that Hanol had stayed up all night, searching for similar cases, and she actually found one in USA, a case almost identical to Jungwoo. She gathered all the details and rushed to court with them. Jungwoo's lawyer goes through the documents and is about to present them as evidence. But before that happens, the judge agrees to grant them a new date. Hanol says in her mind, "So, not every courtroom scene is like a movie. Everything doesn't just fall into place at once." Outside the court, the media crowds around Youngwoo. Meanwhile, Youngwoo sees Hanol, and just then someone bumps into her. She falls down and that man runs away. Youngwoo rushes to her and quickly lifts her up, taking her away from the media crowd. He notices that her palm is bruised, so he takes her to his old clinic. But when they arrive, everything is shut down. Once this clinic was so busy, he barely had time to breathe. But now it's completely empty. Youngwoo sets those thoughts aside and gently applies medicine and bandages her hand. He says, "Thank you for coming to court." Hanol also thanks him and says, "I really wanted to do something for you." Then she adds, "I'm sorry I couldn't bring the evidence in time. Maybe if I had, the judge wouldn't have postponed the hearing." Seeing Youngwoo still upset, Hanol says, "Why don't we stay up all night together tonight? And then we'll watch the sunrise in the early morning." Youngwoo smiles and says, "That's a great plan." Next, we see the two of them by the seaside. It's already 6 a.m., but the sun still hasn't risen. They check the weather on their phones and find out it's going to stay cloudy, and there's a chance of rain too. Hanol sighs. "Even after coming all the way here, we couldn't see the sunrise." Youngwoo says, "That's okay. Even this view is beautiful. At least we're making memory." Then Youngwoo suddenly asks for Hanol's phone number. She hesitates. "For what?" Youngwoo looks at her and says, "Because I don't want to be just a classmate. I want to be your best friend." Hanol smiles. In truth, she had also been wanting to give him her number, so she says, "Okay, if you want it, I'll give it to you." She looks at Youngwoo smiling, and she smiles too. She thinks he's going through depression, yet he's trying so hard to comfort me. While both of them are sharing warmth and comfort at the beach, we cut to another scene. Under Jungwoo's bed, we see a pen. Outside the apartment, a light flickers. That means Dr. Kang might have come back. There's probably some kind of evidence left in Jungwoo's apartment, and Kang might be sneaking in again and again trying to get it. Then we flash back to the year 2009. Back then, when Youngwoo had gone off to his class without saying goodbye, Hanol had written him a small note that said, "You need to be strong. Everything will be okay soon." Just as she was about to give it to him, she heard a woman shouting. It was Jungwoo's mother yelling at the teacher. She was saying, "What's happening to him all of a sudden? His grades are dropping. He keeps fainting. I'm extremely disappointed." Hanol hears this and realizes how strict his parents must be. Just then, Hanol's own mother comes from behind and sees her upset. She brings her along to feed her some good food. And in that moment, Hanol drops the note. She never got to give it to Youngwoo. If you want to see its next episode, then comment in the comment box.